You may believe that what you've lost has altered the course of your life, that somehow the pain, the rejection, the emptiness you felt disqualified you from the destiny you once dreamed of. But what if I told you that loss was never the end, but an essential beginning? You see, in the great dance of existence, nothing truly vanishes. Things only change form, shift rhythm, and transform meaning. What you perceived as a setback was, in truth, a setup, a divine pause not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because when God repays, he doesn't whisper it in the dark, he declares it in the light, publicly, powerfully, and your story, your scars, your survival, they become the stage on which destiny unfolds. What you think you've lost is often the ground God clears to plant something greater. Loss, as we perceive it, is rarely what it seems. It is not a sign of abandonment, nor is it an indication that your path has ended. Rather, it is a sacred invitation to go deeper, to trust more fully, to awaken to the mystery of how God moves when we cannot trace his steps. You see, most of us live with the illusion of permanence. We build, we dream, we attach, and we expect it all to last. But what if the breaking was not meant to destroy, but to make room for what's divine? There comes a time in every life when something is taken, abruptly, painfully, without warning. It could be a relationship that fell apart, a career that crumbled, a dream that died too soon. And in the silence that follows, the mind screams for answers. Why did this happen? Where did I go wrong? Did I miss God's plan? And yet, the deeper truth is this: what left you didn't cancel what's coming. What was stripped away was not your destiny. It was the shell that held it temporarily. When a tree loses its leaves in the autumn, it does not mourn the loss. It surrenders to the season. And in that surrender is wisdom. It knows that letting go is not death, but preparation. The root system is still alive beneath the soil, still drawing nourishment, still expanding in the unseen. Just because something looks barren doesn't mean it's broken. And in the same way, your soul was not diminished by what you lost. It was being deepened, made more fertile for what is next. In fact, loss often reveals what cannot be lost. Strip away what is temporary, and what remains is the eternal, the calling you carry, the promise God spoke over you in silence, the unshakable truth that you are here for a reason. And so what if the outer structures fell apart? That was never the foundation anyway. The real strength was always within you, seeded into your spirit by the Creator himself. We must understand that God does not measure progress the way the world does. We think forward motion is always visible, always tangible. But sometimes the most sacred progress happens underground, in the dark, in the waiting, in the stillness after the storm. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not working. Sometimes God subtracts to protect. Sometimes he allows loss to expose false security. And sometimes he clears the field so he can rebuild from the roots up. You have not failed because you lost. You have not missed your moment because something didn't go as planned. You have not been forgotten. In fact, you are right on schedule. The pain may have caught you by surprise, but it did not catch God by surprise. He saw it coming, and he already made provision on the other side of it. The very thing you thought would break you may become the bridge that takes you into your purpose. But here's the mystery: the blessing doesn't always come quickly. It often arrives long after the dust has settled, long after the tears have dried, long after you thought all hope was gone. Because that's how real transformation works. It takes time. It takes trust. It takes a willingness to remain present even when everything looks like it's falling apart. It is in these moments, when you feel like you've lost everything, that you are most teachable, most open, most ready to receive something new. And what's coming is not just compensation. It's alignment. It's not just getting something back. It's stepping into something that couldn't arrive until the old was removed. That job you lost, that person who walked away, that door that slammed shut, they were all part of a divine orchestration. What feels like an ending is often an echo of a greater beginning. When you hold on to the past too tightly, you delay your own healing. You weren't created to carry what's dead. You were created to breathe, to grow, to evolve into the version of yourself that only pain could awaken. And yes, there's grief. Yes, there's confusion. But you will not stay in that valley forever. There is a resurrection rhythm to this life, and just as the sun rises after the longest night, you too will rise. Think about this. When God allowed something to be taken, He wasn't taking your destiny. He was unveiling it. The loss didn't rewrite your story. It revealed your strength. It activated something within you that would have stayed dormant had everything stayed comfortable. And now you're standing in the in-between. The sacred space between what was and what will be. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also holy. Because in that space God is moving. He is restoring. He is preparing. So don't mourn as if your life is over. Don't look back and try to piece together what can't be reassembled. What's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind. And no matter how much was taken, you are still chosen, still anointed, still covered by grace. What you lost didn't cancel your destiny. It clarified it. It cut away the noise. It stripped off the unnecessary. And now what remains is pure, refined, ready for purpose. There will come a day when you look back and say, that loss was the greatest gift I never wanted. Because it forced you to grow. It pushed you closer to God. It burned away the illusions and revealed the truth. You are not what you lost. You are what remains. And what remains is more than enough for God to work with. In fact, it's all He needs to show the world that your destiny is still intact, and the best is still to come. The suffering you experienced was never meant to label you. It was sent to awaken you, to refine you, to peel away the layers that no longer serve who you are becoming. Pain has a peculiar role in the unfolding of destiny, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. We've been taught to run from it, to suppress it, to pray it away. But what if pain is the very instrument God uses to prepare us for the weight of the promise? What if what you called a wound was actually a doorway? There is something deeply transformative about going through what nearly breaks you. It reveals to you the parts of yourself you didn't know were there, strengths buried beneath comfort, wisdom only found in the dark, peace that passes understanding. You see, it's easy to believe when everything is working. It's easy to trust when there are no storms. But faith isn't forged on mountaintops. It's built in the valleys, in the shadows, in the silent seasons when your tears become your prayers and your pain becomes your teacher. Pain refines, but it does not define. What you've been through may have changed you, but it did not diminish your worth. It may have shaken your confidence, but it didn't touch your calling. God does not define you by your scars. He defines you by the fire that didn't consume you, by the fact that you're still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That alone is proof that the pain didn't win. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, clean images, flawless timelines, curated lives. But heaven is not impressed with appearances. God looks at the broken pieces, the torn places, the parts of your life you've tried to hide, and He says, that's where I'll begin. He chooses the weak to shame the strong. He selects the overlooked to carry His greatest glory. Your story, with all its cracks and chaos, is not disqualified. It's divine. Pain doesn't make sense while you're in it. It feels chaotic, cruel, sometimes unbearable. You question, you rage, you fall into silence. And yet, through it all, something is being born. A new level of discernment, a deeper trust, a clearer vision. You start to hear God in ways you couldn't before. You start to see what matters. You let go of what's temporary. You cling to the eternal. You're not here by accident. You didn't survive that trauma, that betrayal, that disappointment just to return to normal. You survived because there's more for you. Something holy, something weighty, something only you can carry. And the very pain that tried to break you is the pressure God is using to shape your capacity. Just like gold must be purified by fire, so too must we walk through flames to discover who we truly are. It's strange how the soul expands in suffering, how you start to understand people more deeply, how you begin to speak with more compassion, love with more awareness, pray with more sincerity. The pain that once felt like a curse becomes a source of power. You no longer just know about God, you know God. Not just through sermons or books, but through experience, through encounters in the silence, through the moments when you cried out and felt Him hold you in ways no one else could. You may not see it now, but the pain is serving you. It's chiseling away what's shallow. It's cutting ties to what was never meant to stay. It's creating a hunger for the real, the deep, the eternal. And though it hurt, and maybe still does, you are not who you were. You're wiser now, softer in the right places, stronger in others. You've stopped chasing people who don't see your value. You've stopped needing validation to feel worthy, because you've seen what pain can do. And more importantly, you've seen what God can do through it. He doesn't waste anything. Not the sleepless nights, not the lonely prayers, not the heartbreaks that left you breathless. He collects every tear. And while others may only see the surface, God sees the transformation happening inside you. He sees the character being forged, the depth being added, the purity being refined. And when the time is right, He brings beauty from ashes, not in a way that hides your past, but in a way that redeems it completely. You didn't go through all that to stay small. You didn't endure that pain to play it safe. What you carried through the fire is sacred. It's proof that there's a calling on your life bigger than the comfort you had to leave behind. And yes, it hurt. Yes, it was unfair. But your pain is not your prison, it's your platform. From that very place, you will speak. You will lead. You will comfort others with the same comfort you received. And that is how healing ripples outward. So don't let the enemy tell you that your pain makes you unworthy, that your brokenness disqualifies you. On the contrary, it qualifies you. Because those who have suffered deeply also love deeply. They know the value of presence. They cherish the moments of peace. They speak with weight because they've earned it through fire. And you, my friend, are being refined into gold. Keep walking. Keep trusting. The pain is not the end, it's the passage. You're passing through it, not to be destroyed, but to be delivered. Not to be marked by pain forever, but to emerge more radiant than before. When God is finished, the world won't recognize the version of you that comes out of this. And that's exactly the point. Pain refined you, but it never defined you. Only God does. You may feel delayed, but you are not denied. It is one of the hardest truths to grasp when life seems to stall, when doors don't open, when prayers go unanswered, when dreams feel distant, and the silence stretches longer than your strength. But delay is not denial. God does not operate on the same schedule as man. While we count time in minutes and months, God moves in moments and meaning. And what feels like a waiting room is often a divine workshop, where purpose is being refined in silence. There is a rhythm to everything in life. The tides, the moon, the beating of your heart, all move to a deeper order, a flow that can't be rushed without being ruined. And so it is with your destiny. What you think should have happened by now, God knows will happen only when the soil is right, when your spirit is ready, when the pieces align in perfect harmony. But we grow anxious in the in-between. We measure ourselves against timelines, compare our path with others, and forget that divine timing is never late. It's always layered with wisdom. Delay is difficult because it exposes our hunger for control. We like to plan, we like to predict. But faith demands surrender, not just to what God will do, but to when He chooses to do it. And so, the delay becomes a gift, a teacher. It forces you to let go of your own timeline and embrace the mystery of God's orchestration. Because when He moves, He doesn't just fix what's broken. He makes all things new. And when it's time, no force on earth can hold back what God has ordained. In the meantime, don't mistake stillness for absence. God is never inactive. Even when you can't see the outcome, He is aligning people, places, moments, moving behind the scenes in ways you'll only understand in hindsight. The job that didn't work out, the opportunity that slipped through your hands, the relationship that ended, it all felt like loss. But it was actually alignment, protection, preparation. He removes what doesn't serve the next chapter so that when the door opens, you walk through it with clarity, strength, and peace. The delay also reveals your depth. Who are you when nothing is happening? When the applause stops, when the blessings pause, when the spotlight shifts elsewhere, do you still believe? Do you still pray? Do you still trust that what God started in you, He will complete in due time? This is the refining moment, the testing ground. Not to shame you, but to shape you, to ensure that when the promise arrives, your character can carry its weight. Think of a seed buried in the soil. It spends days, even weeks, in darkness, no sunlight, no visible progress, but beneath the surface, it's breaking open, reaching downward to find roots. The delay isn't a denial of growth, it's the very condition required for it. If you were to dig up the seed too early, you would interrupt the process. The same is true for your calling. You are being rooted first so that when you rise, you will not be shaken. God's timing doesn't just serve your success, it protects your soul. If you received everything you asked for before you were ready, it would crush you, not crown you. Some delays are divine mercy in disguise. God waits until the foundation is deep enough to handle the magnitude of the blessing, until the ego is quiet enough to steward the glory with humility, until the heart is healed enough to love from a place of fullness, not fear. And when it comes swiftly. It comes with acceleration, because what takes man a lifetime, God can do in a moment. One divine encounter can shift decades of delay. One yes from heaven can overturn every closed door. But you must be patient in the process. You must learn to rest in the not yet, to worship in the waiting, to walk in faith even when the path is hidden. That is where your trust matures. That is where your destiny becomes undeniable. Delay is not the enemy. It is the proving ground of belief. It's where you learn to lean not on your own understanding. It's where your spiritual muscles are stretched, strengthened, and made resilient. You learn to stand not because of what you see, but because of what you know, that God is not a man that He should lie, and what He promised He will perform. Delay doesn't mean forgotten. It means favored. It means chosen for a process that produces a glory far greater than any shortcut ever could. Don't rush what God is still preparing. Don't abandon the vision because of a slow season. Don't curse the time it takes to become what you were born to be. Because when the moment arrives, it will make sense. The waiting will become the wisdom. The silence will become the song. The pain of delay will turn into the joy of deliverance. And you'll look back and realize that every moment of stillness was necessary because it made you ready. So be patient. Not passive, but patient. Keep building, keep praying, keep showing up with faith in your heart and fire in your soul. Because even though it looks like nothing is happening, everything is being aligned. The delay is not your defeat. It's your development. You may feel delayed, but you are not denied. When God moves, it will be on time, and it will be undeniable. When you felt overlooked, rejected, forgotten, that was preparation, not punishment. In the quiet seasons where it seemed like no one saw you, where your efforts went unnoticed, and your heart silently wondered if you had been left behind, something greater was unfolding. There is a divine intention in hiddenness. It is not the absence of value, but the cultivation of it. God hides what is precious, not to deny it, but to develop it. Think of a diamond deep beneath the earth. It is not visible to the world, but it is still forming, still becoming what it was created to be. It undergoes immense pressure, intense heat, and total darkness before it ever reflects light. You, too, are being shaped in places no one sees. And that shaping is sacred. The world may not have recognized you yet, but heaven has. Your Creator has never taken His eyes off you. Every quiet act of obedience, every whispered prayer, every unseen sacrifice is known to Him. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. In a world obsessed with instant visibility, hidden seasons feel like failure. But nothing could be further from the truth. Hiddenness is God's way of protecting the promise before it's ready. Before Jesus performed His first miracle, before David became king, before Joseph ruled Egypt, they were all hidden, waiting, growing, being humbled and refined in solitude. The cave seasons, the prison seasons, the wilderness seasons, these were not wasted years. They were years of becoming. You must learn to honor the silence, to see the value in anonymity, because it is in that stillness that character is formed. It's easy to perform when the spotlight is on you. It's much harder to keep your faith alive when no one is clapping, when no one is validating your efforts. That's when true identity is forged. When you stop doing it for applause and start doing it for purpose. When you stop needing to be seen and start needing to be ready. You see, rejection is not always a weapon. It can be a wall of divine protection. That door you knocked on that never opened. It wasn't because you were unworthy. It was because God knew it would diminish what He placed inside you. That person who overlooked your gift, that opportunity that slipped away, that room you never got invited into, it wasn't because you didn't belong. It was because God reserved you for something that couldn't be rushed. Preparation is precise. God doesn't improvise when it comes to your life. He knows exactly how long you need to be hidden before He reveals you. And when He does, it will be unmistakable. But right now, in this moment of feeling unseen, your roots are going deep. And if you trust the process, what will grow from this place will have endurance. It won't just shine, it will stand. There's a reason God allowed this season. It is designed to build something eternal in you. Not performance, not pride, but purity, patience, perseverance. You are being stripped of needing recognition so that when the platform comes, you'll know it was never about the platform. You'll be rooted in purpose, not performance. And you'll be able to carry the weight of what's coming without crumbling under it. We often misinterpret God's silence as absence, but His silence is strategic. It's in the quiet that He downloads vision, heals wounds, and restores what was broken. He removes dependencies, breaks idols, and teaches you how to hear His voice. The world's noise would have distracted you. So He pulled you back, not to punish you, but to purify you. Because what's next is too precious to be tainted by unresolved pain or shallow motives. Sometimes you have to be overlooked to learn how to see. To see yourself not through the lens of others' opinions, but through the eyes of your Creator. He wants you to know your worth apart from applause. To know that your value isn't validated by attention. You were chosen before anyone saw you. Called before anyone affirmed you. Loved before anyone approved of you. And in time, everything hidden will be revealed. What God has deposited in you will surface. And it won't just be enough. It will be right. The right place, the right time, the right opportunity. There will be no striving, no forcing, no begging. It will flow. Because God never elevates prematurely. He promotes when the heart is aligned. The character is ready, and the soul has been anchored. Do not despise this season. You're not being delayed. You're being deepened. You're not being punished. You're being preserved. When God finally reveals what He's been building in you, it will make sense why it took time. You'll understand why it had to be quiet, why you had to be hidden, why it felt like everyone else was moving ahead. Because what you're carrying is not average, it's sacred. God is preparing you in private for a purpose that will be seen in public. And when that moment comes, it will not just elevate you, it will reveal Him. Through your story, through your scars, through your silent seasons that became sacred spaces of transformation. So keep showing up in the unseen. Keep trusting in the quiet. Keep believing when no one else claps. Because the God who sees in secret will reward you in the open. Not just for what you've done, but for who you've become. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. God will not restore you in secret. When He repays, it will be public, undeniable, and awe-inspiring, because your redemption is a message to the world. The pain you walked through, the tears you cried in silence, the seasons where it seemed like everything was falling apart, none of it will end in shadows. Heaven has a pattern: what is broken in private is restored in public. What was hidden in pain will be revealed in power, not for your ego, but for His glory. Not just to lift you, but to show others what divine redemption truly looks like. So many times we endure battles silently, carrying burdens no one else can see. We learn how to smile through grief, how to keep moving while our hearts are breaking. And for a while, it seems as if no one notices. You forgive in secret, you give in silence. You stay faithful when it's hard. And it feels like God is watching, but not responding. But here's the truth: God does not forget. Heaven keeps record. And when it's time, your reward will not be hidden. It will be a testimony that speaks louder than any pain ever did. You are not just being restored, you are being established. God doesn't return you to where you were, He raises you higher than you've ever been. And He does it publicly, so those who doubted, those who dismissed you, those who wrote you off, will have no choice but to see the hand of God on your life. Your rise will not be subtle. Your comeback will not be quiet. When God repays, it shakes the very environment around you. It shifts perceptions. It opens doors that were once bolted shut. And it leaves no room for human credit, only divine glory. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, forgotten in a prison. For years he was hidden. But when his time came, God didn't just free him, He made him ruler. And He did it in front of those who had once harmed him. Joseph didn't have to prove himself. He didn't have to seek revenge. God's repayment was public. And so will yours be. Because God does not vindicate in whispers. He prepares a table in the presence of your enemies. You may feel right now like you're still in the shadows. Like the injustice done to you still speaks louder than your efforts. Like your faithfulness has gone unnoticed. But God is setting the stage. You're not being ignored. You're being positioned. The longer the process, the greater the unveiling. And when it happens, it will silence every lie spoken against you. You won't have to explain yourself. The fruit of your life will be the evidence. Restoration is not just about getting back what you lost. It's about receiving what was always yours in the eyes of heaven. God restores with increase. He pays back with interest. And what was meant to break you becomes the very platform He uses to bless you. What was meant for evil becomes the soil in which your purpose grows. And when the harvest comes, it will be too large to contain quietly. There are people who walked away from you because they couldn't see your worth. There are moments you were excluded, misunderstood, underappreciated. You stayed humble. You stayed true. And now, God is preparing to lift you in such a way that it will leave no doubt you were chosen all along. Not because of who you know, not because of who clapped for you, but because you belong to a God who sees what no one else sees. And this public restoration isn't just about you. It's about everyone watching. People are going to see you and remember what you went through. They'll remember the hardship, the loss, the setbacks, and they'll see the shift. They'll see the overflow. They'll see the peace in your eyes, the strength in your walk, the favor on your life, and it will plant a seed of hope in their hearts. If God could do it for you, He can do it for them. That's the point of public restoration. It turns your story into a beacon. It tells the world, pain is not permanent, loss is not final. God still repays. And He does it in a way that leaves no doubt. Not in the back room, but on center stage. Not quietly, but with thunder. Not hidden, but declared. You won't have to fight for visibility. You won't have to chase recognition. You won't have to prove your worth to people. When God says it's time, He will shine His light on you in such a way that every shadow disappears. Your elevation will be evident. Your favor will be obvious. And those who once overlooked you will be astonished by what God has done. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep sowing in silence, praying in faith, working in obedience. Because what's coming is not just restoration, it's revelation. A revealing of what God placed in you long ago. A display of His power through your endurance. A reward for every tear, every prayer, every act of obedience when no one was watching. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned for a public redemption so powerful that it will shift atmospheres. So undeniable that it will awaken belief in those who had given up. So complete that you will forget the years of sorrow, not because they didn't matter, but because the glory now resting on your life makes every moment worth it. When God repays, He does it publicly. And when He restores, He does it with power. No betrayal, no loss, no delay can cancel what God ordained. Destiny is not fragile, it is fireproof. Even in the ashes, it still speaks. There is something eternal about what God has written over your life. It does not erase under pressure. It does not dissolve in disappointment, and it does not change because of circumstance. What God begins, He finishes. What He appoints, no man, no failure, no storm can annul. You may have been shaken, but your destiny remains unshaken. We often believe that setbacks signal a change in calling, that the doors that closed must mean we misunderstood the assignment. But destiny isn't something that shifts based on temporary experiences. It is eternal. It existed before your birth and will echo long after every trial. You can fall, you can weep, you can feel like everything is slipping through your hands, but God's word over you still stands. He does not retract his promise when you're wounded. He does not rewrite your purpose when you're rejected. In fact, it's in those very moments that your destiny is being forged in fire. Nothing you've been through is wasted. Not the betrayal, not the detours, not even the moments where you wanted to give up. Those were the places where your roots grew deeper, where your understanding of God became more than words, where your faith stopped being a feeling and became a foundation. The enemy thought those moments would destroy you, but they only prove that what's inside you cannot be taken, cannot be diminished, cannot be denied. You see, fire does not destroy gold, it refines it. And your destiny is like gold. It may go through fire, but it will come out purer, brighter, stronger. You may lose people. You may lose opportunities. You may even lose parts of yourself that you thought were essential. But you will never lose what was divinely assigned to you. No matter who betrayed you, no matter what closed down in your face, no matter how long you've waited, your destiny is not fragile. It is forged in the unchanging will of God. The world measures progress by success and applause, but heaven measures it by endurance and obedience. You're not behind because you cried. You're not disqualified because you were broken. You're not disapproved because the journey took longer than expected. Sometimes the hardest roads lead to the most sacred destinations. And sometimes the delay is not in the destiny, it's in the shaping of the person who will carry it. Destiny will keep calling your name, even in your lowest moments. That quiet inner voice that won't let you quit, that subtle push to keep going when everything says stop, that's your destiny speaking. Not to pressure you, but to remind you. You were made for something greater, and what God started in you will outlast every weapon formed against you. It will outlast the lies, the heartbreaks, the closed doors, and even the self-doubt. What God ordains, he sustains. Don't believe the lie that what happened to you has disqualified you. God is not surprised by your story. He saw every twist, every turn, every fall, and he still chose you. He still anointed you. And he still intends to bring his word to pass in your life. The enemy may have tried to bury you, but he didn't realize you were a seed. What looked like an end was actually a beginning, and every loss will be turned into a lesson. Every scar will become a story. Every delay will make the arrival even more powerful. You are still called, still chosen, still on course. The path may look different than you expected, but the destination has not changed. God knows how to reroute a surrendered heart. And no matter how far you feel from the promise, one moment of divine favor can realign you completely. You're never too far. You're never too late. If you're still breathing, you're still in the story. And the author of your life hasn't written the end yet. There is strength in you that only emerges in adversity. There is wisdom that only comes from walking through fire. And there is favor that only rests on those who remain faithful when it's hard. You may not have chosen the pain, but it's producing something priceless in you. It's purging what's unnecessary and awakening what's eternal. And when the time comes, what God has prepared will not just bless you. It will speak to others. It will restore hope to those who watched you suffer. It will confirm that destiny is not a fantasy, it's a divine reality. So hold on, even when it feels like nothing's working. Even when everything says you've missed it. You haven't. You are right where God needs you to be for what comes next. The storm didn't cancel your promise. The betrayal didn't stop your purpose. The loss didn't alter your anointing. All it did was deepen the foundation so the building could rise higher. Destiny doesn't crack under pressure. It proves itself. And your life is proof. You're still here, still breathing, still believing. That alone is victory. That alone means you're aligned with something bigger than yourself. So don't count yourself out. Don't let the past mute your purpose. What God has placed inside you is eternal, unshakable, unstoppable. Destiny doesn't die in disappointment. It only grows stronger. God does not return what was lost in the same measure. He returns it multiplied, magnified, and soaked in purpose. When He restores, it's not a simple replacement. It's a radical reversal. What you thought was the end becomes the very foundation for a new beginning that is bigger, better, and far beyond what you could have planned on your own. The God you serve is not limited by natural math. He doesn't give back one for one. He gives back in overflow, in ways that make the pain you endured seem small compared to the glory of what He's preparing. When life strips you of what you once called essential, it often feels like a death. And in many ways it is. The loss of dreams, relationships, opportunities, it leaves behind silence. But silence is not always absence. It is often the space where God is rearranging everything. What you didn't realize is that what left your life was often making room for what had to arrive. And when God moves, He doesn't come to patch up old wounds. He brings resurrection. He brings transformation. He brings divine compensation, and He brings it with power and intentionality. You may have cried over what you lost, but you'll shout over what's coming. Because when God gives back, He doesn't consult your pain, He consults His purpose. And His purpose is not small. It is not average. It does not consider what you think you deserve. It is rooted in who He says you are, and what He's already written for your future. That's why the restoration is radical. It's heaven's way of reminding you that you were never forgotten. That what tried to destroy you only set you up to receive more than you ever imagined. You're not just going to get back what was stolen. You're going to get back what was meant for you. And some of it you never even knew you lost. God is not only restoring what's visible, He's restoring the years, the peace, the joy, the confidence, the identity, the time. What you thought was wasted, He's turning into wisdom. What you thought was destroyed, He's transforming into destiny. What looked like a grave is going to become a garden, and the fruit that grows from that soil will feed others. It will inspire others. It will testify that our God repays with multiplication. There are seasons where you felt like you lost everything, and you probably did, but there is no loss so great that God cannot redeem it. Not just return it, but redeem it. Make it holy, make it whole, and make it worth it. This is the kind of restoration that silences your doubts. Not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because you realize that the journey shaped you in ways comfort never could. You learn that the pain birthed purpose, that the waiting cultivated strength, that the tears watered the soil of your testimony. When God restores, it's not subtle. He wants it to be seen. Not to inflate your pride, but to make sure that others know He is faithful. He is just. He is generous. He is miraculous. He is the God who remembers, the God who watches, the God who restores publicly and with power. And when He does it, people will look at your life and see His fingerprints all over it. They'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't hustle. It wasn't coincidence. It was the hand of God repaying you for everything you endured. That's why you can't give up now, because the reversal is closer than it seems. God didn't forget the nights you cried. He didn't overlook the seasons you were faithful even when nothing moved. He didn't miss the moments you chose obedience over ease. Heaven keeps record, and heaven always repays. But not in ways that simply restore balance, in ways that completely overwhelm you with grace. Imagine God giving you double for your trouble. Imagine Him restoring relationships you thought were permanently broken, not just patched up, but resurrected into something beautiful. Imagine Him bringing opportunities that exceed your preparation. Imagine Him healing you so deeply that you no longer flinch when you remember what hurt you. That's the kind of reversal He brings. It's not temporary comfort. It's eternal change. And here's the truth, this kind of restoration usually follows the deepest kind of surrender. The kind that says, even if I never get back what I lost, I'll still trust you. It's that level of faith that moves heaven, because it tells God you're not just in it for the blessing, you're in it for the relationship. You're after His heart, not just his hand. And when you live from that place, restoration isn't just promised, it's inevitable. So lift your head. Stop rehearsing the loss. Stop replaying what went wrong. Stop allowing regret to write your story. What's ahead of you is too great to be bound by what's behind you. Let God do what only He can do. Let Him reverse the verdict. Let Him turn mourning into dancing. Let Him repay you in a way that makes the pain seem like a distant memory. The reversal will be radical. The blessing will be visible. The compensation will be divine. And when it arrives, you'll know it was worth it all. Not because you understand it, but because you'll finally see that what you lost never had the power to cancel what God was planning all along. In fact, it only cleared the way for it to arrive. There will come a time when the very people who doubted you will have to watch you rise. Not because you forced them to see, not because you demanded validation, but because God Himself will make it undeniable. When He moves in a way that silences every critic and turns every whisper into a witness. Your elevation will not be for ego. It will be a sign that God's hand has always been on your life, even when others couldn't see it. The rejection didn't break you, it positioned you. And now, the tables are turning. It's a strange and humbling experience to be underestimated, to be dismissed, ignored, cast aside like your value depended on someone else's perception. But God sees beyond the surface. He doesn't choose based on appearance or approval. He chooses based on purpose. And when the world says, not qualified, He says, perfect. He doesn't select the obvious. He selects the overlooked. He takes what was despised and turns it into the very thing that becomes essential. And He's about to make an example out of your endurance. You didn't fight through the battles you faced for no reason. Every time you chose silence over retaliation, every time you walked away when you could have lashed out, every time you let God handle what your flesh wanted to fix, He took notice. You honored Him in the trial, and now He's going to honor you in the triumph. The very people who said you'd never make it are going to have to stand still and witness what happens when a person refuses to bow to bitterness and keeps trusting God anyway. And the most powerful part is, when God raises you, He does it in a way that you won't have to say a word. Your fruit will speak. Your peace will speak. Your strength, your consistency, your elevation. Those will all testify on your behalf. You won't need to prove your worth. The results of your obedience will prove it for you. Because God's blessings don't just show up, they overflow. They make a statement. They declare to the world that His favor is not dependent on popularity, and His promises are not contingent on human applause. This is not about revenge. This is about revelation. It's about God revealing who you truly are. For so long, others only saw a fraction of you. They saw your faults, your past, your struggles, but they didn't see your heart. They didn't see your calling. They didn't see your anointing. But now, God is pulling back the curtain. And when He does, even those who once dismissed you will be forced to say, surely, the Lord has been with them. What's coming next will be visible. Not hidden in a corner, not buried in silence. It will be seen by those who were too blind to recognize you before. But here's the key. Don't seek to be seen. Seek to be faithful. Don't live for attention. Live for assignment. Because when your motives stay pure, your moment will be pure. When your focus stays on the mission, your rise won't just lift you. It will lift others. God is not raising you just for you. He's doing it through you. So others can believe again. So others can see what happens when someone refuses to quit. This elevation isn't just about proving people wrong. It's about proving God right. It's about showing the world that He still chooses the unexpected, the unqualified, the unlikely. It's about revealing that obedience is never wasted, that hidden faithfulness carries weight, that silence in the face of slander is not weakness, it's wisdom. You're not going to rise to prove a point. You're going to rise because you've been faithful in private. And now God is going to reward you in public. And when it happens, stay humble. Stay grounded. Because what God gives you is not meant to puff you up. It's meant to glorify Him. You didn't get here by your own strength. You got here by grace. And as high as he lifts you, remember the valley he brought you out of. Remember the nights you wept, the days you questioned everything, the moments when you almost gave up, because it's those moments that will keep you grateful, and gratitude is the anchor that will keep your heart steady. This next chapter of your life will be marked by visibility, but also by responsibility. You've been called to carry something that others will watch. Your life will become a reflection of what faithfulness produces, and not everyone will celebrate you. Some will still criticize. Some will still doubt, but they'll have to do it from a distance, because God is preparing a table, and you're going to eat not in hiding, but in plain sight, not with arrogance, but with peace. The rise is coming. The shift is happening, and the ones who thought they buried you are about to realize they only planted you. You've been growing quietly, expanding internally, building roots in silence, and now the bloom is about to burst forth, and it will be undeniable. This is your season of being seen, not for fame, but for fulfillment, not to gain followers, but to glorify the one who never left you. So walk humbly, but boldly. Step into the season knowing that every rejection was redirection, that every dismissal was divine positioning. And now your life will speak volumes, not with noise, but with evidence. The evidence of favor, the evidence of endurance, the evidence of a life trusted in the hands of God. What you've been through has prepared you for this moment, a moment when God's power will be unmistakable, when His favor will be undeniable, and when His voice will speak louder than any doubt ever could. The battles you fought, the losses you endured, the delays you suffered, they were never meaningless. They were the very training ground where your faith was shaped and your spirit was strengthened. Now you stand on the threshold of breakthrough, and everything you have endured will begin to work for you, not against you. You must understand that God's timing is perfect. What felt like waiting was actually preparation. What felt like silence was actually strategy. What felt like setback was actually set up. Many times we mistake delay for denial, but in God's economy, delay is often a sign that something greater is being formed. You are not behind, you are being made ready. Your breakthrough will not come too soon to spoil it, nor too late to miss it. It will come exactly when it's supposed to, fully equipped with all the blessings, wisdom, and strength you need. Breakthrough is not just about a change in circumstance. It's about a transformation in your entire being. It's about your mindset, your heart, your faith expanding to receive what God is bringing. Sometimes the breakthrough comes with a sudden surge, a door opens, a prayer is answered, a dream takes flight. Other times it is a slow unfolding, a steady progression that builds momentum until the tipping point. Either way, the key is to stay faithful, stay hopeful, and stay focused, even when the progress seems invisible. Faith is the currency of breakthrough. It is what allows you to trust God when you cannot see the outcome. It is what keeps you standing when everything around you says to quit. Breakthrough requires belief that what God promised is still true, even when your circumstances suggest otherwise. It is the refusal to settle for less than what God has spoken over your life. When faith meets God's timing, miracles happen. You must also be ready to receive your breakthrough. Sometimes the resistance to change is within us. We cling to the familiar, even when it's painful, because the unknown feels risky. But God calls you to step out of your comfort zone and into the fullness of His plan. That may mean letting go of old habits, relationships, or mindsets that no longer serve you. It may mean embracing a new identity, a new purpose, a new level of responsibility. Breakthrough is as much about what you release as what you receive. Remember, God's breakthroughs are public and powerful, not just for your benefit, but as a testimony to others. When God shows up on your behalf, it changes more than your life. It changes the atmosphere around you. It inspires hope in those who are watching. It proves that God is faithful to those who trust Him. Your breakthrough will be a beacon of light, a living proof that no matter how dark the night, dawn always comes. It is important to prepare your heart for the breakthrough by cultivating gratitude and humility. Recognize that every step of the journey, even the hard parts, has been part of God's plan. Thank Him for the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the character developed. Humility will keep you grounded when the elevation comes, helping you to give all glory to God and to lead with grace and wisdom. Finally, know that your breakthrough will not only restore what was lost, but will also multiply it beyond measure. God specializes in abundance. He doesn't just repair, He renovates. He doesn't just replace. He replenishes and overflows. The joy that comes with breakthrough will far outweigh the pain of the past. The blessings will be so great that they will astonish not only you but everyone around you. So stand firm, keep praying, keep believing, and prepare yourself. Your breakthrough is coming. It's not a question of if, but when. And when it arrives, it will be public, powerful, and perfect. A divine testimony that what you lost didn't cancel your destiny. It only prepared you for a greater glory.